Hello and welcome to the Sirrano Show. This is our post-election wrap-up from the November 5th, 2013 election. And today we're going to talk about all the elected officials from the lowest office to the governor's office. We're going to get a little bit of insight into exactly what happens. Now, Berkeley College does a post-election wrap-up, and so we decided we're going to do our own post-election wrap-up. They invited a whole bunch of candidates. I just invited myself. Having been in the news business for a very long time, having been on both political sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, I pretty much think I know what's going on. And I'm going to share those secrets with you today. So, let's start with Governor Chris Christie. Now, we're going to deal with Passaic County, and then we're going to go to Bergen County and tell you what happened in the election. Governor Chris Christie is the king of politics. And the Passaic County Republicans decided that, well, since the governor is on the head of the ticket, we're all going to win. We can put a goat up there, and we're going to win. And that's what they thought. Now, all along, I had told the head of the Republican Party in Passaic County, they rushed to pick candidates. They just grabbed whoever they could out of the gates, ahead of the Democratic Party, and thought since we got Christie as head of the ticket, and they were promoting that on their website, with Christie as head of the ticket, we cannot lose. This is our year, this is our chance. To which I said, no, it's not going to happen. And, I was asked a lot of questions, well, who do you think is going to win? And I said, well, for sure, Governor Christie is going to win. That's a given. Everybody knew that. But John Curry, who happens to be the Democratic chairman in Passaic County, did not believe that. He thought that Barbara Brono was definitely going to win because of some of the things that Chris Christie promised to do and didn't do in his eyes. And actually, I play a little clip of John Curry and why he thought Barbara Brono was going to beat Chris Christie.
Under this present governor, we have the highest foreclosure rate in the country. Under this present governor, we have the third worst credit rate in the country. Out of all the states in the United States, New Jersey is number 3. Only worse is Illinois and California. But New Jersey is going in the wrong direction. We know our unemployment rates are high. Now, when you look at the statistics, and this is fact, this is not rhetoric, this present governor has doubled Governor Corzine's tax increase with the same length of time in office. Ladies and gentlemen, with your help and you carry this message to your friends, relatives, and even your opponents.
John Curry was hired as the head of the Democratic big bosses in all of the state of New Jersey. So it kind of troubles me a little that most of his time was spent around Passaic County. And now you've got Trenton, you've got Camden, you've got Newark, you've got Jersey City. And I didn't see a lot of John Curry taking Barbara Brono and her running mate to those cities. And I was kind of saying, well, it's not just Passaic County that matters. What matters is all of New Jersey. So why just keep her here and bring her here? Is it because John Curry thought she was already a lost cause, so might as well save my Passaic County team? I don't know. It's up for you to decide. So it's very questionable as to why she was always kept around here in Passaic County and not taken to Trenton and not taken to Sparta and not taken to Camden and not taken to all those other places where votes are very important. I would say, though, that when Governor Corzine was in power and John Curry was or still is the chairman here, most of the time he drew John Curry down into Passaic County. He was the boss. Corzine was not the boss. Curry was the boss. And we're going to get to that when we deal with Christie in a second. So, John Curry lost the governorship. But he got every one of his guys running for local election in Passaic County to win. Okay? If that's what his strategy is, knowing Barbara Bono was a lost cause, but just using her to, pump up his team here, that's a question we'll have to interview him and ask him, because she was not in all the other, counties. What was there 21 counties here that she's supposed to have been in? She was just around here. So, getting back to Chris Christie, we all knew that Chris Christie, at least I knew, Chris Christie is a powerhouse. Chris Christie comes down, it's about Chris Christie. It's not about the local team. So I was trying to tell the local Republican team that, look, you have got to use Chris Christie like John Curry used Corzine. You come down, you build your team up, you say thank you, and you leave the building up right here. That's not what happened to Republicans and Chris Christie. When Chris Christie came down, it was a private setting, private group of people. You're preaching to 40 people that's in your choir already. If you're already preaching to the choir, what do you need him for? Why did you bring him down? To prep yourself up? You've been prepped up, I think. So anyway, they brought Chris Christie down. He came to the meetings and then left. And they went flat. They were never able to use Chris Christie to pump themselves up, let the public see it, and then say, hey, Christie's with his team. Christie is with Passaic County. Christie is down here. Never happened. Now here's a clip. John Curry using Barbara Bono to pump up his team. Take a look.
Your work is unbelievable, what you've done over the years and how you've been able to bring all of these groups together. When we say united, united we stand together, and divided we fall. But if any of you have not met Senator Bono, can I see a show of hands real quickly before I bring her up? How many of you have not met her? I see her hand. Governor Gavin met her and haven't heard her. So ladies and gentlemen, let's greet our next governor of the state of New Jersey, Senator Barbara Bono.
Thank you, Democrats. Thank you all.
That's John Curry pumping up, using the political power to stabilize and grow and electrify and fired up and ready to go in Passaic County. That's what he does at best. He uses the top people to pump up the lower level people to make them top too. And then Barbara Bono just went to sit down, and he was up there with his team. He invited every media he could possibly get in this local community and wherever. And then he turned it around and put the media on the stage, and his team down there with the leadership of Barbara Bono. Now, this is how you win elections. This never happened in the Republican Party. Not only in Passaic County, but it didn't happen in Bergen County. Chris Christie came to Bergen County, again, preaching to the choir, saying hi to everybody else, pumping them up. They're already pumped up if they are. You need to get out into the community, have your rallies into the community, bring in the independents, bring in the Democrats who are sympathetic to your cause. Never happened in Passaic County, never happened in Bergen County. Christie came and spoke, and after he was done, there was no photo op. There was no stop the press from the county chairman over there in the Republican Party. I think his name is Udin. He never stopped everybody and said, Christie, you stand there and have my entire team around Christie. Didn't do that. Didn't happen in Passaic County. Christie came as the president and left through the back door. He was gone. When you're a county chairman, what you do is you bring in the governor and everybody else, and you stand them in the front around your candidates. You take that into the community and say, this is our war team, this is our fighting force. But that never happened in Passaic County. And they lost the entire local team. And so the night of the elections, I usually attend the Republican rally, victory rally. But this time I didn't, because I knew they were all going to lose. And they were going to lose big time. Let's talk about the race in the 35th district in Passaic County, New Jersey. Frank Feenan, that guy, got the crap kicked out of him by Richard Burtnick. It was just hard to watch that one. It was, what was the numbers on that? It was 39,000 votes to 52,000 votes, Richard Burtnick. And Senator Nellie Poe just sent that one back, and that wasn't even a fight. That was just, she walked in, she got knocked down in first one round. Benji Wimberly and Shavonda Sumter just sent the other two packing. It's just, they didn't even make it. They didn't show up. In New York there's a say, do not show up to a gunfight with a knife. And that's what the Republicans did here. Showed up to a gunfight with a knife, and it just got wasted. So Governor Christie, what do you have to say about your Passaic County Republican team?
When I went to bed, I said, Lord, please give her strength, because I don't know how much more shit this boy can take.
That's what I thought. How was that?
Because I don't know how much more shit this boy can take.
Okay, so you have to pick better candidates. They thought that Frank Feenan was going to be the lead guy in the Republican Party. That's what they thought. And I told them from the beginning, Frank Feenan was weak. There was no way he was going to get Passaic City, Clifton City, and Patterson City. Once you put Frank Feenan against Richard Burtnick, you lose those three cities right there. But there was another guy by the name of Pat Sizer.
He doesn't want to take a stand. So far, Mr. Feenan, you can see he's not here today. He's had GOP spokespersons speak for him. I would like to see him with Mr. Feenan. I wanted to debate him today. I wanted to expose some of the embellishments that he and the GOP had sent out. Everyone in the law enforcement community knows Mr. Feenan's career, and everyone is aware of my career.
When they had a primary between Pat Sizer and Frank Feenan for sheriff in the Republican Party, Pat Sizer didn't go up against Feenan. He went up against Christie himself, who was on the line with Feenan, and took almost 3,200 votes. That's the guy, now with Christie, can go against Burtnick and whomever and beat him. The only guy that was able to beat Burtnick was taken out of the race by the Republicans. Why? Politics. Because they felt we can't control Pat Sizer. He's a little bit of a loose cannon, and we don't want to, have to deal with that. Well, I met Pat Sizer. He's a good guy. He's a little bit forceful when he speaks. Knows what he wants. And you could have dealt with that to get him on the line, and you would have won sheriff. And you would have been able to bring in at least 2 freeholders. But they didn't do that because they did not have enough local strength. And what the Republicans were banking on is 4 years ago, when Chris Christie was running, he pulled in 3 freeholders. Well, it was no sheriff at the time. And he got some seats for the local team because people were dissatisfied with Corzine from the top to the bottom. In this election, there was no dissatisfaction with anybody. So the local Democratic team got themselves together, got its wheel going again, and Christie is Christie, and the local team is the local team now in this election. They had no idea they were going to be massacred. I knew it. I said it. I knew Burtnick was going to win, and he was going to win big. I knew, and that's why I never even showed up to the Republican events, because they picked a chairman that they're dissatisfied with. The party, I want to say, is falling apart, but it's already, the party is down. It's down. Is it dead? It's going to take the Republicans a very long time to recover from this loss. A very long time. Because the leadership is being recycled over and over again. It's the same people that's being recycled that you're picking and putting in power, which means you're going to get the same results. The only way that the Republican Party is going to recover from this election in Passaic County is to bring back the one guy that they don't like. And this is a guy who is still loved by judges and prosecutors. And I've spoken to a prosecutor, and he told me, oh, I just love this guy. He's just an amazing person. His name is Peter Murphy. He was the old boss, and he made a mistake. And I did a little bit of research, and I found out he was trying to cover for somebody else, and he made a mistake looking out for someone else. And Chris Christie prosecuted him, put him in jail. It was overturned, or it was being overturned, or whatever it was. And now there's a dislike for this guy for a mistake he made. Yet, the the Republican Party, they brought in another guy. I want to get to that in a second. But Peter Murphy happens to be the only guy who is so loved by prosecutors and judges. And I was at a certain place, and I'm not going to mention what it is, and I walked in the room, and I saw a crowd, and I saw Peter Murphy, and I said, there's so many people that love this guy still. Why does his own party hate him? Why do you turn away the only guy that can save your party? The only guy. And I've met with this guy. I've spoken to Peter lots of times, and he's just one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. But Chris Christie wants to hate him. Hey, Chris Christie is not here anymore. He's in Trenton. He's going to be president. And how I know that? Because he never answered the question. And I know politics. So he's sizing up for that. It's not that he doesn't care about your local team. It's that he's got bigger dreams. And he's a wonderful guy, but he's got bigger dreams. So what do you got to do, Passaic County? You have to look out for yourself. Peter Murphy is your only chance. And I'll say it today, and when you lose the next election, and then the next election, and the next election, I'll say it all those times again. He is smart. He knows judges. He knows prosecutors. He knows lawyers. He knows people who've got money. And every time you push him away, guess where he's going to go? He's going to go to the Democratic Party because he's looking for a home. Yeah, you say he's hungry for money, and he's hungry. I don't think he's hungry for money. I think Peter Murphy's the kind of guy that likes to feel important because he once was important. And it's very difficult to take away something from somebody that makes them feel good in helping people and doing something like that for other people. A Republican told me a few days ago, well, you know what the thing is about Peter Murphy? He helped get 250 people jobs. Yeah, well, that's a good thing when he was chairman. That's a good thing. So what you're telling me is he likes to help people. And this is the guy you decided that you were going to lock up in the brick because he made an error in judgment, and you're never going to bring him back out while his ship ran aground, got slammed in by the Democratic Party, and the only guy that can bring him out happens to be Peter Murphy. That's Passaic County politics for you. They hate this guy, they disliked him, but he happens to be the only guy in the room that can come back and say, you know what, guys? I know we had our differences. I know me and Scott Romano, our assemblyman, used to butt heads, but let's put all that aside. Let's get together for the team. Let's get together and do something good for this party. Let's bring back the old days where we hated Democrats for slavery, and we hated Democrats for trying to separate the country. We hated Democrats for the KKK. We hated Democrats for not wanting blacks to vote since 1964. We hated the Democratic Party for that, and we still hate them today for trying to hijack African Americans with food stamps or whatever else it may be, and making them stay in the low-level part of society when we can go back in there and take those folks out that we saved since 1964 to 18 whatever. Let's go back and take the team. Let's go back and take the team. And when Peter Murphy does that, or if he does that, I think he's kind of reached out to them, and they kind of went back into a war. So these are the struggles of the Republican Party that it's very difficult to recover unless they bring this guy back in. And Frank Feenan was a Democrat. So he's a Democrat a year and a half ago. He becomes a Republican. And my question to Frank Feenan was, when you became a Republican, did your views change? Do you have new views? Do you have the same old views? And he has been running from me. So he never got any endorsement for me. I never took his advertisement. I never went to his events. Matter of fact, the same guy you see him standing next to here is Ernest Rucker. He's a convicted criminal, theft, extortion, drug charges. That's the guy that the Republican Party in Passaic County brought in because he, after coming out of prison and still committing crimes in the community, went to the Republican parties and said, look, the reason that you don't have the black votes is because the way you treat black people. And so they decided, okay, well, you're the first black person that show up, let's take you. And oh, you got another woman, right? Gala show, let's take her too. We got 2 black people, we're going to send it to Patterson, and we're going to get 15,000 votes that we need. No. When you don't pick somebody because they're black, thinking they're going to go into Patterson and get black votes, what happens to that is, Patterson's not stupid. They saw him coming, they kicked him out of events. Gala show went to Benji's event for a backpack. It was given to the kids. She started promoting herself. They had to remove her. They called the cops on her. Benji said she was just crazy. She came in there promoting political stuff. These are kids. And they had to get a cop to get her to move. So, no, you don't pick blacks to send them into Patterson, especially a convicted criminal, and think he's going to come in here as a Republican and fool African Americans in Patterson. They're smarter than you are. What you want to do is you want to pick people who believe in your cause, believe in the Republican cause that happens to be black. That's how you pick people. You don't pick black folks to get black votes. That kind of works in the Democratic Party, by the way. But the Republican Party didn't work. Didn't work at all. They got rid of him. And they went out the door. And here's Frank Freedom with 39,000 votes and Richard Burtnick with 52,000 votes. And just a little side note on Richard Burtnick. We tried reaching out to him. We knew he was going to win, and if he didn't, we wanted to rubber stamp that, you know what, the better man for the job here is you. You were better than Frank Freedom. You've already been there. But I left him a message, and he just kept brushing me off. And, you know, after we endorsed candidates, he told me he wanted to, I should have endorsed him. And an endorsement is a very, very, something you have to work for. It's something you have to earn. So even if I want you to win, for me to endorse you, you got to sit on the table and talk to me and let me know why you need this endorsement, why you want it, why you want me to rubber stamp you. He never did that. He still doesn't like us, I guess, from the last debate. Don't know what his problem is. We try to be nice to him, and he's got something going on there that maybe he doesn't want me to know about. But anyway, we were asked to slam him during the election, and we stayed away from it. We never endorsed the Republicans. We never trashed him. There was a whole story about him and his wife buying a house, you know, like a $400,000 house for like $90,000 and hiding it, and Howard News ran a story on that. But we didn't want to get involved because we thought he was the better guy. And we still think he is the better guy. But if Pat Sizer was in the race, that story would have been different. And then you're looking at the numbers for Chris Christie. Chris Christie actually won. He lost Passaic County last year. Last 4 years. Let's see, Passaic County, Chris Christie lost Passaic County by 5% of the votes. And this year he won by 9% of the votes. So he also won Bergen County. In Bergen County, he lost by 3% of the votes. And this time in Bergen County, he won by 22% of the votes. So, you know, hurrah for Chris Christie, who's been able to turn those numbers around. But not a big hurrah for the Republican Party in Passaic County and Bergen County, who was not able to do that. Because if you have the most powerful guy in politics in your team, you don't hide him in a private meeting and send him home. At least take some pictures, do a video, have him hanging out with people. But he didn't do that. Didn't happen. Okay? And Shavonda Sumter is very interesting in Bergen County. In Passaic County, you have Shavonda Sumter and Benji Wimberly getting 39% of the votes to 11% of the votes on their opponents. That's in Passaic County. In Bergen County, it was 27 to 22. Why? Because people were not voting for their opponents. They were voting for Chris Christie's line. But when you come to Passaic County, it's mostly Democrats, and it's easy to win Democrats in Passaic County. You just have to tell them their history and tell them the truth about what's happening to their future. But no leader from the Republican Party is wise and smart enough to rise up and tell them, hey, take a look at your history. Hey, take a look at the bloodstained banner. Hey, take a look where they're taking you. And hey, take a look at the now and the taxes that went up. But they're not able to sell it. So they're stuck in a bind, and they'll be stuck in a bind. When our favorite person on the night of the elections, like I said, we usually go to the Democratic event, and we go to the Republican event in Passaic County, and then we go, that's it, we go home. But today we decided to go to Bergen County. Our election night was actually spent in Bergen County, Republican, headquarters, where we supported Michael Sordino for sheriff, and he won. At least we got the sheriff that our newspaper really wanted to win, and Michael Sordino was a great guy. He was running against Modaga. Modaga's brother is good friends with Sordino, and I was just kind of curious, as this is your brother's friend, and was friendly with you, why would you want to take his job away? And Modaga, and something interesting, Richard Burtnick was a Republican that turned Democrat to run for sheriff. Frank Feenan was a Democrat, or still is a Democrat, that turned Republican to go after Richard Burtnick. Jerry Spezial was a Republican, turned Democrat, had the office. Now he's Republican again, and supported Frank Feenan, Republican, to go against Richard Burtnick. Michael Sordino was always a Republican in Bergen County. James Mordaga was a Republican turned Democrat to run against Republican Sordino. This is just all over the place. So voters go to the poll and say, well, wait a second, weren't you a Democrat? Weren't you a Republican? So in Passaic County, Richard Burtnick, he was voting as a Democrat. He's a Republican, or was. My question to these people has always been, and will always be, when you switch parties, did your views change? And no one wants to answer it. I did not do a debate in Passaic County because I felt it was frivolous. I didn't think Frank Feenan was worthy to be sheriff in any way, shape, or form. And what the sad thing is, Republicans, I feel bad for Republicans. There are a lot of great Republicans, a lot of really, really good, nice, wonderful people who want to support, Christian values, conservative values, gun rights, don't kill the babies. That's their belief. That's what they want. But unfortunately for those people, when the small group of Republican heads pick someone and put them there, and you never ask them the right questions, these folks just take that person. They took Feenan, not knowing he was a Democrat. They put him up on the line. And the Republicans who are faithful will fight for that, our guy to win. But you look at your guy, is your guy really a Republican? But they don't see that. What they see is, we're Republicans, we want to win. And if Feenan is our guy, we'll spend money, we'll put the signs up, we'll do all these things. So that's what's been happening there. I don't want to say poor folks, but I sympathize with Republicans who just got a bad choice of people. It's a really, really horrible group of people that they put up to run against the Democrats. Feenan was a bad choice. Rivas was a bad choice. Reyes was, whatever her name is, Tavares was a bad choice. Who was the two freeholder guys? A friend of mine said he likes one of them, but that doesn't mean he's the right choice. The right choice is knowing the law. The right choice is knowing the office that you're going to be running for. The right choice is knowing and doing right by the people. The right choice is not looking just to run for office because you feel like you want to run for office. The right choice is being there for the people and having the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding of how the government works to make it work in their favor. None of these guys had that. None of them. And if they did, I probably would have promoted it. I'm not saying that the Democrats have it, but I would give Benji, he's been there, so he knows what's going on. Sirrano knows what's going on. Burtnick knows what's going on. Nellie Poe, she's got an amazing record, amazing resume of what she has accomplished. So it was just hard to watch the slaughter, what's going to happen. So where do we go from here? Well, I'll tell you one thing. The Democratic Party has really built a stronghold in Passaic County. It's a stronghold. The Republican Party has really sunk themselves. And it's not because of Republicans. It's because of the leadership. It's because of the circle of people that keeps in this very close knit. They won't let you in. unless you can listen to them, unless you're controlled by them. But it's not just the Republican Party that does this. The Democratic Party does this too. If they don't control you, you are not getting the line. Kenneth Morris in Patterson, he was not made to be anything in the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, because the word is he didn't want to be bought. He wanted to be, controlled. And a few other people, same thing happened to them. Karen Brown, she was the clerk. They tried to control her. We wrote a story, unbought and unbossed. But eventually she went up against them, and they made a deal or something, and she backed out. She became a judge. That's one tough one. That's how you do it. You don't sell out. But the folks that get chosen usually get set out. They have to listen to the party bosses. And when you do that, you sell out. And all the other Republicans who just are outside of the circle and they just vote, they don't know this happens. So that tight-knit circle, you pick the same people, you get the same ideas, you get the same mistakes, and the message has not changed. Now, I would give this to the Republicans. If you went on their website, www.pc, Passaic County Regular Republican Organization, PCRRO.com, they did an amazing job talking about their history, their civil rights history, to fight for the rights of others. It's on their website. But when you look at their actions in the street today, it's not there. It's not there to fight for the rights of minorities and blacks and people like me. I'm a minority-owned business, and they don't do that. They pick people like they did the last time. They wanted to get the specific black guy because they want to be inclusive. They want to be inclusive to a convicted criminal by the name of Ernest Rucker and Galasho, who's a troublemaker. But then they asked me that I can't come to the party because he's there. And I was like, well, what? That's not inclusive. That's excluding me. And so it's all politics because they wanted to get the black votes. They made that mistake. And they regret it today. They made the mistake of choosing Feenan when I told them not to. And they regret that today. And all their other candidates, including Galashaw, who I heard give them hell. I heard was at their events yelling at them, bullying them, and she just gave them hell. That's the woman that went up against Nellie Bowe. You can't just pick people because they're black. So from here, I think what the Republicans need to do is they need to get rid of their chairman. I like him. He's a nice guy, Treya. He's a nice guy. But you have to go. And Treya does not represent Republican values. First of all, the Democrats believe in gay rights and homosexual. They've been pushing that. When Benjamin Wimberly and Shavonda Sumter voted against their biblical values, the Patterson Pastors Workshop was angry, furious. Michael McDuffie, he was furious. He can't vote against our Christian values. Can't do that for gay rights. And I don't think they endorsed him after that. That's what they represent. Their conservative value, the Republican value, is supposed to represent the opposite to that. The opposite is no, we believe in biblical values. We're not going to vote for, rights that God says this is wrong, and then go to church. And their chairman happened to be gay. Yeah. So he's gay, and some of the candidates has told us that when they went to the screening, he was asking specific questions about what they felt about something like that. He was using another guy's name to screen these people about their thoughts on gay rights. And if he felt that they were against it, he was not going to let them through. Well, you're a Democrat then, right? So, how's that working out for you, Republicans? You have a gay chairman that represent Democratic values. So it's like watching two parties, Democrat. Well, these are more honest to what they believe, and you're not really honest to what you believe. If your chairman has a Democrat, and where's the choice there? So, like I said, John Trey is a nice guy. He's always been respectful to me. I've always been respectful to him. But when it comes to the facts, and when it comes to choosing things in your party to make you win and stay true and honest to who you are, then John Trey should have never been chairman. Scott Heck was helping John Trey because they voted in the primaries to choose Treya over Scott Heck. Scott Heck supposedly was sent by Chris Christie to broker a deal that Scott Heck would be the chairman of the Republican Party in Passaic County, If Peter Murphy and Scott Romano would stop the fighting and stay away from each other, Scott Heck would run the show and everybody would listen to him. But then I heard later on that the deal got broken and Scott Heck was talking to Peter Murphy, which he's supposed to if you're supposed to make peace. And then they found out and they pushed John Trayer in there. And so there's no real Republican conservative leadership in that party in Passaic County right now. And so I feel bad for the poor folks who vote and really want change and they really want their party to win, but it's not going to happen. You need to get your county committees together. You need to get together with Peter Murphy and you just sit down by the table. And one of the representatives said to me, well, look, we sat down with Peter before, and he didn't want to listen. Well, maybe you just sent the wrong person to sit down with him, because I spoke to him. I sat down with the guy, and he was very nice. I know what he's about. He's a guy with power that you took away from him. And when you keep shoving people from your party, they're going to go to the other side. And don't blame them for that. Blame yourselves. So from here, they need to sit down with Peter Murphy, get rid of all the nonsense, get rid of, representing things that the other guy represents. If the other party is representing something, and you're representing the same thing, why am I voting for you? I already got it there. They're a little more stable. In the sheriff's race in Bergen County, I asked Sardino, does your opponent believe in merging the sheriff department with the county police, which is a big deal over there, because there's two law enforcement entities? And he said, yeah, he believes in the same thing. Then why do you need to vote for him? Right? If he believes in exactly what you believe and you're already there, why do we need to vote for him? So, whole thing is the Republican Party needs to reevaluate itself, just change its entire circle. And the biggest problem that they have, well, one of the biggest problems that they have is this. John Curry from the Democratic Party in Passaic County makes the decisions in all the cities and who gets chosen to be in those seats. So he can go to North Haledon and say, look, I want this guy running for mayor, I want this guy running for city council. He can go to, where I was in Passaic County, he can go to Passaic City. He can go to Clifton and say, I want this guy running for mayor, I want this guy running for council. Okay? That's the way their party is structured. The Republicans has decided that we're not going to structure ourselves that way. We're going to let the rest of the guys, every city, every place makes their own decision who they want, right? Biggest mistake ever in your life. Because what do you have from that? Infighting. You have, this person says, no, I want to be mayor. No, I want to be mayor. Well, you're not a Republican. I was a Democrat. I'm a Republican now. And I'm going to fight you. So you got a fight going on there. Another city in Hawthorne. What are you going to fight? Or whatever else they're fighting in Wayne. They're fighting each other. Because the party boss does not have the power in their whole, bylaws to go in there and says, no, the party chooses this person. The party chooses that person. And when the party chooses that person, that's the person we want. And if you're a rebel, I'm going to get rid of you. I've never seen a primary in John Curry's team. John Curry runs Passaic County. There has never been a primary. And I tell you something. There was one primary when Pasquale was going up against Rothman. That's the only primary that there ever was. I saw under John Curry, and they crushed him. And they sent him packing. That's what they do in the Democratic Party. There's one mind, there's one body, there's one unity. In the Republican Party, there is not. They're fighting, everybody's fighting, everybody wants to be on. If you visit the New Jersey NewJerseyPulseOnline.com or NJPulseOnline.com, NJPulseOnline.com, you can get a copy of the New Jersey Pulse, and you would see another infighting in Wayne. They put up their candidate. Another Republican said, no, I want the seat. No, I want the seat. And they end up in court. They won against her, but they end up in court. It's a waste of time and money. So, moving on, the Democratic Party is fine. Moving on, the Republican Party needs to clean its act up. It needs to start changing leadership. It needs to start bringing in new blood. It needs to stop picking black people to get black people. You have to pick people who believe in your cause and your fight and your history. You've got a rich history of civil rights, but you don't know about it. I was speaking to a friend of mine, an advertiser friend of mine, and he said, I was telling him, did you know up in 1964 they did not want African Democratic Party did not want African Americans to vote in this country. He said, I did not know that. I said, did you know the Democratic Party, well, the KKK and the Confederate flag all belongs to them? And they wanted to keep slavery? I did not know that. He said, they did not want people to vote? I said, yeah, to 1964. He did not know that. He's a Democrat. He supports them. So, I think education is, warranted on the Republican side. I think it's a good start on their website. But I think what they need to do is to get that message on the street. But to get that message on the street, you need to stop the fighting. You need to get a hold of Peter Murphy and bring him in. Have the right person sit down at the table with him and talk to him. Okay? Hey, I might do it for you if you ask me nicely. Not like Richard Burtnick, who asked me for his endorsement, but not in a nice way. So, that's where the Republican Party needs to go from here. And the Democratic Party, they're fine. Chris Christie, he's going to move on to being president. And as for Cory Booker, let me tell you something why Bronner lost. Cory Booker she might have had a chance. She might have had a chance, a slim one, but a chance. Cory Booker, you notice he never got into this fight. He is John Kerry's biggest name to beat Chris Christie. And Booker was nowhere to be found publicly bashing Christie about his taxes for the last and fighting with the unions and bullying people and whatever other gripe they have against him, which is a long list. Not one of those things came out of Cory Booker's mouth. Why? Because Cory Booker is buddy with Chris Christie. Why do you think he gave him his own election on his own day, a Wednesday or 4 days, and spent $24 million giving him, I'll give you your own election as long as you don't go up against me. I know you're going to win, but you don't get to come back with me and promote anything against me. Why do you think Christie never supported Lanigan against Booker? When you're in a fight and you believe in your party, you stand by every one of your candidates. Lanigan is going to win, we're going to beat Booker. He never said that, Christie, because he wanted Booker to win. The deal was, you won't run against me, I won't run against you. And I don't want to hear you mouthing off, anything about me when you get out there. And so Booker wasn't mouthing off anything about Christie. And so, this is what's happening in politics. A nice little world of politics here. You just have to watch the players. So, to you Republicans, when you have a governor that's powerful, and he's head of your tickets, and you lose your entire team, you're the problem. Your chairman is supposed to bring Christie and take him out in the community. But instead it was the other way around. Christie used them to promote himself and left. But if I was chairman, things would have been different. Okay. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.